Please keep them in your thoughts. And if you want to make donations, you can reach out to me. I'll put you in touch with Chauncey, but we'll totally make it happen. Yeah, this is all about it's Friendsgiving, and it's about gratitude and being thankful.
Yes, absolutely. It's called Thanksgiving.
There you go. Alan and I are actually going to visit his niece, so I'm not cooking.
Nice.
You know what? Let's put our cards on the table. We all know the real blessing is that I'm not cooking. That's right. Nobody will get sick. No one will end up in the hospital. I won't be frazzled. The best kind of cooking to me is in someone else's house. So Tam, you have been I'm so happy to have you with us today.
Yes. I've been out for a couple of weeks.
You've been out for a couple and you've been missed, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I was out in the Midwest, out in Indiana, visiting my father. He's 94 years old, in an assisted living home. And I wore that poor man out. I was like, come on, Dad, let's go here. Come on, Dad, let's go there. Grab the walker. Let's go. And we were all over the place, but we had a ball. He
had a ball. You added time to his life because
absolutely
you were a spark. And I think what was so cool, I know Tim is from the Midwest, which to me is like a foreign country because I grew up in the Bronx. But all of these pictures of Tim's family and friends that you've had for years, eating in diners. You guys were always eating out, and all of those people that you were really able to reconnect with. That's a gift.
It was really, it was wonderful. It was really cool. I got, to have a meal here and there with different friends. We would run into old friends while we were out. And it was quite amazing, and then I took him to Rochester one day, and this friendly guy comes up, and Dad has his veteran's hat on, and he said, "Thank you for your service." And then we sat down, and he comes walking up to the table, and he goes, "Let me introduce myself. I'm the mayor of Rochester." And I said, "Oh, well, that's nice." And so then he comes back a little while later, and he said, "I've given these pins out to several veterans." And he goes, "And I want to honor you with one." And so he made a speech, and he gave Dad this pin, which I put on his hat. And it was just totally random, but it was absolutely wonderful.
How amazing. Well,
now, I haven't looked down the entire list, but I'm guessing Chauncey was nominated for a GLAM.
So the GLAM Awards. How much to our dismay, Tim and I weren't. I just had Chauncey read me the list who was nominated, and it definitely went more, how should I put it, in a drag direction, which is fine.
It always does. It's the drag community, which is fine. Yeah,
it is fine because a lot of those people are friends of ours.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Video, of course.
And I'll be covering it. And our dear friend Icavelli, for the show that I do,
was nominated as well for his incredible show 50 Shades of Gay, and now that you brought it up,
which I'm a part of. Yeah,
right. And I've been a part of December 3rd at the Triad Theater. Get your tickets. You can go right to Icavelli's page. That's December 3rd. The name of the show is Mary, whose child is this?
Yeah, Mary, whose child is this?
Oh, Mary. Of course it's that. So you definitely want to catch that. And also is January 30th. So I'm definitely going to.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to cover it.
We'll be covering it. We'll all have a table there. So please get your tickets for that. It's always super wonderful. Nominated or not, it's a really great evening.
Yes, it's a fun
and a chance to really serve up some looks.
Yes. Pull out the stops. Now, also, I'm asking everybody, please. I just found out that there is a special going on. I was asked by Urban Stages to do my one-man cabaret show. On December 7th at 9:00. It's on West 30th Street. And they're running a Black Friday special. And if you just put in all caps, BLK FRI for Black Friday, BLK FRI, you will get $10 off. So instead of $30, you'll be paying it. It's a $20 ticket, but it's only good if you buy your ticket by Sunday. So I would love anybody and everybody to come out and and support, because I'm very, very proud of this show. It's
as he should be. It's a wonderful show. It really is about Tim's life. So incredible. You'll laugh, you'll cry. And if you forget the information he just told you, it'll be on his Facebook page.
Yes, actually, I just posted I just heard about the Black Friday special, so I was posting that right before we came on the air. So
get your tickets while you can.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Talking about incredible performances.
Well, just firstly,
we have another announcement.
This is thank you for tuning in to If These Walls Could Talk with your host Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and we will be back with our wonderful guest, the fabulous Louise Sorel. Take it away.
So I'd love for you to meet today's guest, because when you see her, you're going to know her.
Yeah.
All right. She's been daytime soaps, Santa Barbara, Days of Our Lives, One Life to Live. She's played a seductive villainess. Okay. And when you see her clip, you'll know her immediately. When you see her face, you're going to know her immediately. But what a career, from theater, film, TV, Hawaii Five-0, Gunsmoke, Kojak, and she did a theatrical, I think it was theatrical, but she'll tell us more, with one of my favorite all-time performers, Art Carney. I love this woman. She is TV, film, and soap opera royalty, and I want to just thank Laurie Tower for bringing her on today. Please welcome Louise Sorel.
Yay!
Is that a good morning?
Bravo.
Morning. It's morning. If you know what, I like that, because you come from California, and it is morning in California.
That's true.
Right. Thank you for all the people that are not EST, Eastern Standard Time. It's PST, Pacific Standard Time. So wherever you're tuning in from, welcome, Louise Sorel, and thank you so much for being here.
How are you doing, Louise? Hi.
I'm awake. I'm here.
Good.
Excuse me. She's more than awake. This woman is woke. And we will totally get into that later. She is absolutely woke. And already I see we have so many people in the chat. People were very excited about you
look at that.
coming on. I know. Isn't that amazing? The chat. It's great.
Amazing.
It's amazing. And it like scrolls up where people, I don't know how to scroll it though.
Oh, good. Neither do I.
Well, what Tim does. Tim is our magic scroller on the show. So, sometimes with technology, we have to depend on the kindness of others. I loved, I read quite a bit of information on you. Well, there's quite a bit of information on you. Louise sends me her bio and information, and then she sends me something, and she says, "I'm surprised I'm not dead." I mean, I just could. That is like, who sends that out to somebody?
I wrote a piece called "Thelma Ritter's Dead, I'm Not."
I love it. Right. I'm still here. I'm going to start with a very broad-based question for you, but it's something I've been thinking about. You are still here. What's your secret? What is your secret to have worked every aspect of this industry?
I haven't a clue.
You're just
I just go along, and just I don't know. I think it's genes. Well, my mother's name was Jean, but I meant the other kind.
It's Jean's genes.
Jeans.
It's Jean. Well, it's interesting because when your parents were both in the business, as we say, and there's some people that were just born to do this, and I really got the feeling when I read everything about you, job to job to job to job. It really never, some people, especially nowadays, people get hot really quick,
it's so
and then they disappear into the sunset.
Yeah,
you sustained.
Mine was sort of just on an even keel, just. Well, you could say boring, but no, it wasn't. But it just I kept working, and I was very lucky with a very wonderful agent who became a very close friend of mine.
I love that.
She was, it was like having a mother. I mean, another mother.
Can we say her name? Is it?
Yeah, Phyllis Rabb. She was the William Morris office, and she was handling Arthur Penn and David Merrick and all these wonderful people. And she was, she sent me every letter that was ever written to her or that she sent out before she died.
Wow.
And I don't know why she handed it all to me, but I was so moved by it. I don't know what to do with it.
So, but you have it
I have
as
all of it,
as you
everything.
should,
Just-
Mhm.
And I like saying her name because I believe, right, the people that have been so influential
Yes.
to us, when they move on, we want to keep their legacy going. And you've
Yeah.
got these letters, and we want to talk
Nice.
about the great stuff that they did. Now, you
Yes, she
grew up
did.
in Hollywood.
Yes. Well, as I said, I grew in Hollywood. Up in New York.
Love that.
So where were you born here or in?
I was born in Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Well,
Yeah,
I was
that's what I
in
thought.
cities of Lebanon.
It's a very well-known hospital.
Yes, it is.
Uh-huh.
That's where I was born in Los Angeles, and
Uh-huh.
we lived partly in the valley, and then we moved to Beverly Hills. Sort of.
Mhm. Nice.
So that's where I grew up and went to Hollywood High School. Not everybody
How
can say that.
cool.
HHS, along with,
Yes.
there's so many that have come
Oh
out of
God.
there.
Oh God, yes.
So, did you realize early on in the game that you were going to be an actress?
Well, I took a class, a drama class, when they ask you to fill out a form in high school. What do you want to do? So I thought, drama, that sounds easy. So I went to drama when I was 14 because I was in school early, in high school early.
Mhm.
And the teacher that I got was very charming, and he saw something. So he just threw me on the stage doing John Millington Sing and all Medea and Serafina and the Rose Tattoo. And I would go home and weep. And I said, Mommy, I can't do this. But she had this all in her. So she said, yes, you can. And she would talk me through it
Incredible.
and
Nice.
gave me this gift. But she
Right.
never pushed me. She just
Right.
gave me what information she could.
She gave you information, but Louise, the essence of, you're talking Medea,
Yes.
that essence of being able to embrace that has to be, no one can teach you that.
Well, no, but I mean, God knows I wasn't a real Medea, but the real Medea
But you did it.
was Judith Anderson, who was my dear friend later on.
Dame Judith
Dame
Anderson.
Judith. And there was a wonderful moment with her when I first met her, when she was trying to find a name on Santa Barbara. She didn't like the character's name of Birdie. So she was saying,
I don't blame her.
I don't like that. I don't want that. So I popped in. I just met her. I was in a bathing bikini.
You were in a bikini.
Horrifying. And I said, what about Medea? And she said, looked at me, she said, Medea, my dear. And I said, I'm so sorry. But Medea. So that's how we first met. And so that Medea has been, and I have a brilliant photograph of her playing Medea that's in my
Fabulous.
apartment in black and white with her hands.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's
it's
amazing.
absolutely brilliant.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Brilliant.
Now, thank you everyone for tuning into If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our wonderful and lovely guest, the fabulous Louise Sorel.
So what made you decide, you went to Hollywood High School? What
Yes.
made you decide you needed to be in New York and aim for the Great White Way?
Well, I went to 2 years of LACC with a theater department, which was quite good. And there he let me do Cleopatra, and it was all filled
Wow.
with this. And then my friend of mine came back from New York, and I saw she had a program or something about it, and I thought, I've got to get out of here. For a lot of reasons, which I won't go into. You know, I wanted out, and I was 18. And my parents said, "How are you going to do that?" And I got a job to pay for my airfare to go to New York. And first I auditioned for the Neighborhood Playhouse at UCLA as a mime, because I was a mime at the time. I was doing mime, and I
love this.
I got the. I didn't speak. I mean, I did mime, and they hired me. I mean, they gave me a what do you call it? Scholarship at the Neighborhood
yeah.
Playhouse.
Nice.
Right, Tim? Great.
Miming, and then I made my airfare, and I got on a plane when I was 18, and I found out about the Rehearsal Club, which is famous. You know, there's a movie. Everybody in the world saw that movie, and that's where I was for about a year until I was thrown out.
Wait, why did they throw you out?
Because I flooded the laundry room. With
Oh, huh.
I wait. I need to know, was it intentional?
Yeah, tell us that one.
Tim and I.
I had also a boyfriend that kept coming in, and she didn't like that.
Okay, it was
whatever
probably
her
the
name was.
boyfriend.
It was the boyfriend, I think. The Rehearsal Club, I was rooming with one of the girls who was a Rockette.
Oh,
Right.
sweet.
And
Uh-huh.
the Rockettes stayed there, and the young girls who were on their way to a career. So that's where I started.
Amazing.
And then I slept all over the city.
I swear, I thought she was going to say, and then I slept with everybody.
I was going to say, honey, so did I, but in a different way. But that's another show.
Tim Moss. I knew he would pick on that one.
Oh my goodness! So, I mean, but your experience at the neighborhood playhouse, was it strictly mime, or once you were there, were you?
No, maybe neighborhood playhouse is
Playhouse, no.
yeah. It's like
No, but you got the scholarship for mime, correct?
No. I got a scholarship to study, not for mime.
She just happened to mime.
No, I thought that was your maneuvering to get in there, because
that was.
Neighborhood Playhouse is a brilliant school.
Yeah, it is brilliant. Who are some of the people you went to school with? Because I used
without getting to James Caan was
who we love.
My dear close friend Jessica Walter.
Uh-huh.
Brenda Vaccaro. There were a whole bunch of us.
Brenda,
Vaccaro, the best.
Elizabeth
that
Ashley.
gravelly voice. I love.
Oh, hi, doll. Hi, doll.
So now, how did you enter Broadway? You entered Broadway with in the show with Art Carney, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I got, my father knew a producer on Broadway. He didn't want me to even do this, but he said, all right, I'll help you. So I was introduced to, I don't remember who it was, a Broadway producer who said, you don't want to be in this business. That's the first thing he said to me.
Good. No, but that's, you know what?
Excuse me. Don't tell me that.
But that's a test.
Yeah. But anyway, I didn't pay any attention.
Of course.
But he said, I'll send you to someone out of courtessy. That's all. He sent me to Phyllis Rabb at William Morris. I didn't even know what a William Morris was, other than it was, isn't it a cigarette?
A cigarette, yes, right.
So I went up there and I met first Sue, who was her then secretary, who turned out to be Sue Mengers.
Yeah, Sue Mengers. Oh my God, of course.
And I was brought into Phyllis's office, and she had big glasses, and she talked like this. I don't know what you can do, but I'll send you up. So she said, this is where you're going. She had no idea if I could do anything. She sent me to meet Judy Abbott, Mr. Abbott, George Abbott's daughter, who was meeting all these actresses and actors to test for this play. Mm-hmm. So she saw me, and I probably had hair down to my waist. She said, could you come back looking a little more collegiate?
Right.
So
not so messy, a little more.
I don't know. So anyway, I showed up again, and then I had to read at the Broadway Theater, and I had only been there once when Ethel Merman was doing Gypsy.
Right.
So I couldn't believe where I was going. There was a lineup of, we were all the same age.
And same type, I would think.
Type,
yeah.
I saw everybody following the stage manager around on the stage. A powerful woman, fabulous woman, scary, but wonderful. And I thought, I'm not good. She's going to follow me. So I went upstairs to think about it, and they called my name, and I said, I'm not ready, and I cannot believe this. The stage manager said, Miss Sorel, George Abbott, Mr. Abbott, Miss Sorel is not ready. I don't know what possessed me. Anyway, I finally came down and said, I'm ready. Oh, Miss Sorel's ready now.
Hey, darling, you made
a lot of chutzpah, as we say. God. Oh my God,
darling, honey,
you're young, right?
Honey,
you're not thinking.
Honey, you made an entrance.
Yes, you did.
I made Bruce Mitchell follow me around the stage, and I only got through half a scene. And I hear from the dark in the back of the theater, "Thank you," and that's all.
And you probably thought, done.
Then they brought me back for the second time, and the same thing. Halfway through a scene, "Thank you," and you just think you're going to die. I mean, you don't know what to do with yourself,
right? Because you think they thought you were awful.
Well, then you don't know what they thought,
right?
So about 2 weeks later, I had no money. I was living with this crazy Italian, and we had a basement apartment and enough to put a dime. Remember a dime? A dime in a phone booth.
I was going to say,
exactly. In the payphone.
Yeah, I was here then.
And I called. I got my answering service, which I was able to pay for. Actor phone.
You're an actor phone? How was it callback? Oh my God, I love it. Yeah. So
they said, call Phyllis Rabb. So I said, okay, I had my dime.
Your last dime, Louise.
And I called her, and I heard it. I remember it hitting the phone. And she gets up. Hi, are you sitting down? I said, what? No, I'm in a phone booth.
Standing.
She said, you got the part. All I heard, 3 words.
Incredible
Got-
story.
4
4.
words. And I slid down. I wrote all this. I slid down the phone booth onto the ground. I was shaking. I don't know what went on. And then I've got to call everybody. I called
Your
everybody
parents,
collect. Called my
yeah,
parents
yeah.
collect. And that was the beginning.
Oh my God, that's
But
great.
talk about starting at the top.
I love it.
How old were you?
21.
I figured 21.
That's great.
That's
Well,
amazing.
thank you everyone for tuning into If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our wonderful and fabulous guest, Louise Sorel. Yay!
So that was the start of it.
Yes.
When you first started rehearsing, I mean, you were the newbie really in the cast.
Oh, no.
There were
Well, Liz actually had done something before that. There were a couple of other people who hadn't done very much.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So sometimes there's safety in numbers in those
Yeah.
situations.
Oh, it was a lovely group of really, really sweet.
So what was that? What was that like? The initial,
Yeah.
because you're new and fresh, and
Yeah.
now you're rehearsing for a Broadway show, and Art Carney's in it, and
On the
what
same
was-
stage, Ethel Merman was.
Well, no, we didn't rehearse.
You didn't rehearse there,
No,
okay?
no.
I was going to say that was like
No.
a lot of stuff.
It was like, if you've been doing work all along, if you at the Neighborhood Playhouse, we did productions there.
Of course,
right?
Occurs to you, except that you're sitting there and you're just trying to do
the
the
work.
best you can.
Yeah, the work.
And
Mhm.
it comes later. It's sort of like, oh my God, it was George. What? You don't think about it. And Hal Prince.
Hal Prince,
Hal
my
Prince,
God.
the prince. He was
yeah.
a prince. This man was such a prince. And it was his first show without Robert Griffith. And then he went on to Fiddler. He did a few things after that. But I didn't even know who these people were. I didn't even know who George Abbott was. I just was rehearsing a play.
No, you were a kid, and that's the
Yeah.
freshness, by the way,
Yeah.
of being 18 or 21. You come in, you don't know who anyone is,
No, I
but
didn't.
you bring that freshness to the role.
Yeah, you just go on
That's-
stage
yeah.
and do it. And then what happened from there was astonishing. So, yeah.
Can you take us on the astonishing ride?
That was truly astonishing. I was in the show by then about 7 months, something like that.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was Take Her, She's Mine.
Take Her, She's
Take Her,
Mine
She's
with
Mine.
Art Carney. Yeah.
Yeah. So Phyllis called me. You're going to meet a man named Guy Hamilton at the Pierre Hotel. I don't know who that. What do I-
At the Pierre Hotel, right?
It's a movie being done in London with Jack Hawkins is producing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I walk into this room at the Pierre Hotel, and I thought I was going to read because that's what we do. You audition.
Right.
This man, hello, very lovely to meet you. He looks at me for about 15 minutes. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm gone. Now I'm doing the show, and it's intermission, and Ruth Mitchell, the stage manager, said, Louise Sorel, come downstairs.
You had no
because
idea.
they went to see the play, which was horrifying
He
to me
already
that they
saw
would
that
go-
you worked already.
but I didn't know they
Of
go to see
course.
this silly comedy. So I come downstairs, and there's Jack Hawkins, Anthony Perry, Guy Hamilton, these men downstairs backstage.
At intermission.
Yes, extending their hands and saying,
Yeah.
"Well, see you overseas."
That's incredible.
walked
That's
out.
incredible.
Oh, so they didn't. So you didn't even have to worry about the second
No.
act. I was going to say at intermission, you had to go back out for the second act.
She's a pro. She didn't walk off the set and say, "See you later." Oh my God.
That's wonderful.
Isn't
Oh
that
my
great?
God.
But what could have been better for them than to actually see you work? Like you said, oh, I'm in some silly comedy, but
Yeah.
you were in a very real
Yeah, but
play
it
with
was a
incredible
lighthearted
actors.
comedy.
But
Mhm.
you know what, Louise, and you know this, people that have vision can see, and they had.
Well, the Brits don't do a lot of that's interesting. The Brits do not do a lot of reading of actors. They know what they want. They're very driven over
Right.
there. They don't put you through hell. They just see it and they know. Now, maybe now I don't know what they do, but the other thing about that was I had also gotten a pilot for Woody Allen.
Oh my God.
On my way to London, I already had a pilot for Woody and another Broadway show.
This was it was like
This is like-
mushrooming.
I'm not making this up,
No, no.
Oh my
When I look back at it, I feel like Gloria Swanson.
Ah!
I just can't deal with that. That was me that was doing that, if you know what I mean. It's out of body, sort of.
Wait, but
I don't-
you were incredulous about it, but because you're a young
I
kid,
just kept
and you know
working.
what? You just kept working,
Exactly.
and that's a reality. You know what?
Yeah, and
Everyone's
again,
path
you
like that.
don't have a point of reference, so you don't panic.
Right.
You
Right.
just do what you do. That's
Like,
wonderful.
okay, I
That's
have to
really
be there. I'm working. It's work.
The other, the thing about it is that there were so many things that happened that were so amazing out of nowhere. And as you get older, it gets so much more difficult, and you're not prepared because you
Mhm.
start out and people are handing you
Everything on a
gigs.
silver
Not
platter.
handing, but
Yeah.
it's coming so fast.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, whoops, not so fast. And that's what you have to find out who you are, because a lot of
Right.
actors, unfortunately, only feel they're alive when they're working.
Oh,
And
isn't
that's
that the
very
truth?
dangerous
Yeah.
because luckily my mother filled me up with so many interesting things in my life. And I traveled a lot, which keeps you centered. Otherwise, it could be very hurtful,
Of
very
course.
difficult.
I'm curious, because I do want to talk about that. I call those speed bumps. You hit the speed bump.
Well,
And the
just real
music.
quick.
Yes.
Just real quick, I just have to do the commercial.
Station identification, I call it.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our fabulous and wonderful guest, Louise Sorel. So
No,
now,
they thinking it was over, but it's not. We have to keep doing these. And Tim's
right, yeah.
more than me because I have to sit here with an alarm clock. I'm not kidding you, but
And I'm the timer guy.
yeah, that's Tim the timer.
Okay, Tim.
You heard of the tool time guy, Tim the timer. So, you everything was like
Speed bump.
snowballing for you, and did you hit that like wall a little bit before you started in soap operas? Is that
Well, it wasn't a wall. It was. It came up. They asked me about did I want to go and meet these people, and I said I'd never even seen a soap opera.
okay?
Ever.
Okay.
Ever. So I talked to an actress friend of mine, and she said, it's not so bad because sometimes you get some good material and it's constant work, blah blah blah.
But I want to ask you this. I do remember in those days, because I had come to New York in the late 70s. I remember friends of mine getting on soaps. Marcia McCabe, did you ever work with her? I think she was on One Life to Live. But I remember we were told it's great work. You'll get commercials and things from it, but once you are on soaps, that's it. You're not going to have any other work. Do you remember hearing that?
Well, it's more likely out there because in New York, they hired all these, the theater people were doing soaps, isn't it?
So they could
for more money,
right,
just so they could
steady money.
And they would hire. I worked with some in New York. I did just a few things on a soap, and my God, all the theater people were coming in. Were Ruby D. We had, amazing people. But in California, I'm walking a thin line here. A lot of people who are told they're very pretty and they should be on television.
No, they didn't have the stuff inside that the theater people.
They're okay. But the fact is that people have an attitude about them out there, about soaps out there, which is different than the one in New York.
I see.
Which is a soap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that does hurt you. It does.
So it's a pigeonhole out there.
It is. And you can't complain because I'm not complaining because they paid me very well. And I had luckily I had characters that were not victims, and I had stuff to dig into because otherwise I don't know how long I would have.
Just real quick, as far as your Broadway, you co-starred with Rita Moreno in The Sign of Sidney Brustein's Window, and that was 64. And then he also appeared with George C. Scott and Colleen Dewhurst as
Lion in Winter, yes.
Oh my God.
And The Lion in Winter, how fabulous! I mean, these are powerhouses. These were wonderful experiences. I would imagine.
I was so madly in love. I was married at the time. Anyway, I was so madly in love with George C. Scott. Oh my God.
Madly in love.
The power of that man. And anyway, it was funny because he had just come back from having a moment or two with Ava Gardner. And he went back with Colleen, who was a brilliant, extraordinary, bigger than life human being. And she had a line in the play, "Let me see you kiss her. I want to see you kiss her." Because I was Alay the princess. And it was like every night I would go up and try to smell to see how he felt that night. Was I going to get a real kiss or was I not? And it's like, can you imagine Colleen hovering over us? and I knew about the Ava Gardner thing. And now I'm standing there looking at George C. Scott, who I'm like, I can barely breathe.
madly.
And she's saying, let me see you kiss her. I mean, these moments were just,
what extra, they're surreal, really, when you think about them, right?
oh my God, the two of them were, my husband, Herb Edelman, and I took them both out to dinner individually. And there's a lot to say about those two.
I would imagine.
Oh my God.
I would imagine. Now, I want to talk about Herb, too, your husband, Herb Edelman.
Yeah. My big mistake. Anyway, he was just, everybody loved Herbie.
Everybody loved Herb.
And you still can see him on the Golden Girls, and everybody still loves Herbie.
Yes, yeah, he played the B. Arthur's ex-husband. Yeah.
Brilliantly talented and hilarious, and just an extraordinary human being.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would love, we have because we're going to go into your whole soap opera career. I'd love to play the clip now that we.
Yes, we do have. I'm not sure where. Oh, there we go.
I just loved it. Here we go.
Don't presume to tell me how to handle myself. Look at all I've done, and I'm still at large. Oh, Stefano. I always think of you when I'm going to a funeral. How many have you had? Well, knowing your penchant for drama, you'll probably show up at this one. They have no security video on us at the office when Andre was killed that night. Nobody knows what we did that night except Andre. Well, he's not talking. Stefano would have been able to handle that. Blackmailing, kidnapping, brainwashing. These were a few of his favorite things.
Not to mention murder.
Well, the thought's never far from my mind. The grieving widow. Hey, Black. I'm speechless. It's quite an outfit, Marlene. Are you auditioning for the grieving widow? What is it with me and caskets? Andre Demira.
Feeling, playing.
Okay.
Okay. We're
the videos in post afterward. He will edit them, and it will be a clear copy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Take care of it.
Apologize for this technical.
The actress over here. Okay, there you go. Well, we at least got a snippet.
Oh my
snippiness.
Oh my God. Yes. I mean,
it's funny because someone commented, our friend Margot Channing said, ask you about the crypt. That was one of the lines on there.
The crypt.
Or she says,
what is it? Channing.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's a famous name.
Well, firstly, Margot just says, hold on. Margot's been saying a lot. Margot loves you. She goes, firstly, her first one was, Vivian. She goes, you played the best villain on Days. I wanted to be Vivian. You look amazing. My grandmother and I have loved Days and Vivian. My good friend Jenny Bookwalter says, I just realized you have Vivian. I can't see that. Alamain.
Yes.
Here. Stay away from
the crypts. She's the one that says it. The crypt.
Okay.
All right. And she also said, run, Carly, run.
LOL. Yes.
Yeah,
You when we announced that you were coming on the show, there were so many comments. It's so great to have all of these people that
I'm just not aware. It's so
well. That's why this is so great that not only that you were an original influencer, isn't that what we call them?
Yes, right.
You were, an original influencer, and such a body of work. But I think like soaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
They speak to people in a certain way. Maybe it's the fact that
they're in you're in their living room. You're in their living private lives. You're watching people manipulate and things happening to them in an intimate way.
Right. So it draws people in a different way. How did you end up like being a villainess in so many of these?
I have no idea.
You're like,
I'm a very nice person.
You are a very nice person.
Absolutely.
She's pathetic and but
well, firstly, thank you for tuning in to If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our very nice villainess, our guest, Louise Sorel.
I think I
so go ahead.
That question.
Yes.
you don't play a villainess. I had no idea it was a villainess. I was just a woman getting through. You know what I mean?
I love that. And
It's
fun.
right.
certain people politically right now don't think of themselves as villains, and they are. So, but they don't say that. They don't think they're that.
Right. And they
So you don't-
brainwashed other people to think that they're not.
That's right.
There you
so
go.
that's you're not a villainous. You're a person going through life doing somewhat questionable things on occasion,
Mhm.
and just trying to get what you want. That's what villains do.
Right.
They don't think they're villains. You know what I mean? I don't mean
Yeah.
to.
No, it's true.
It's a good question, though. You're not a. I mean, you don't think of yourself that way. You just think you're going in and you're trying to get something done, and you want something, and so you go about doing it the way you do it, and it turns out to be rather obnoxious.
I love that. I totally love that definition. Rather obnoxious and not really great for everybody else. Let's add that in. Right? The outcome's not great for everybody else. But it is interesting to me, following your career, that's how you were cast and that's how you were seen.
But only these.
Right. In these roles.
I was an ingenue for
Right.
a year. I mean,
She was
did
right.
a lot of other stuff.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Anything like this.
Yeah.
It's just as I guess the aging process, I developed into my mother. I wrote about that.
We all turn into our mothers. Are you kidding?
And then I was my mother, who was not exactly a villainess, but she had that, whatever it is that comes out of me is really coming from what I inherited.
Well,
As you age.
It's interesting that you use the word, I don't know, aging in this industry, which is something that I will never wrap my head around, because the greats, the really great performer, you can't do that amazing stuff because you haven't lived life long enough when you're that ingenue. Women get into their 50s, 60s, 70s. My God, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, the substance in them is, just because they're female, is bigger than a male could ever encompass. So why should there be this ageism?
No, well, that's a word I don't really.
Right, but we hear it. Why?
I mean, look at. I'm just bringing up an obvious. Rita Moreno.
Amazing.
I mean, please,
Jesus,
she's
I know.
phenomenal.
She's phenomenal.
Yeah, legendary.
And Judith Anderson, who was then, when she came on Santa Barbara, she was 86, 87, something like that, maybe a little more. And it's you bring with you whatever you are now, and
But isn't that everything?
In England, they do a lot more with adults in their writing, and as you can see, they hire women of substance, and it's not about ageism there. We have a big issue with that here.
Right. You are totally right. And that is very, very good to hear. Again, so many people, Betty White sustained it. Angela Lansbury sustained it.
B. Arthur
sustained it. There should be hundreds more, because there are on that level, and their names, they're not right. They're not writing for them. I'm curious, just from your experience, I've seen Drew Barrymore and the one that played Elle Woods in what's his name? You know who I mean.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Reese Witherspoon.
Right, Reese Witherspoon.
Yes.
So now you see women in their 40s, and
they're smart. They're producing now.
They're producing, they're writing, and they're putting on a lot of females. So in your estimation, because you've seen a lot, don't you think that's going to be the big game changer?
I don't know.
We hope.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of actresses that we don't know are producing. I mean, you don't necessarily hear their names a lot.
Right.
But they are. But I it never was that way. I mean, this is wonderful.
Right.
I mean, women didn't produce years and years and years ago, but now they are, and they're smart, and they've made a name for themselves, and they can do that, and it's great.
And it's totally great. I always when I go, I always look at the credits. If it's like what I call a female centric film, right, Tim? I always look at who the credits are, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Produced by, and it's brilliant. You're right. It's really, I think, opening up a lot of doors for people. So I'm going to veer a little bit to not to the left or to the right, but I happen to find out that Louise is an animal advocate.
I was gonna. That's what I was saying.
Right. And my friend Sue.
But we've got only couple minutes left, so go ahead. and
Okay.
just
But
mention
it's not
that.
really a couple of minutes because then we do at the station identification, then we still go for 15 more
But
minutes.
yeah, we can talk about that further, but just please touch on that and bring that up.
Right. So, you're an animal person. How has that affected you in your career? Like, I'm talking even from me personally. My nugget is my balance. He is my heart. I have a daughter and a husband, but it's my nugget, right? My long-haired Chihuahua.
Yeah.
And my friend Suze, who's watching, she's got 2 Chihuahuas. How has your baby affected you?
Well, I've had 9 dogs.
You have wow.
And I've never been without. I was without when I left home because I had a collie. I grew up with a collie.
You grew like Lassie.
Yes,
It was my
beautiful,
favorite show.
Beautiful dog. Anyway, at 24, when I was married to Herbie, he brought home the first dog I had after my collie dog. We named her Electra. I was into the Greeks. She was 15 when I lost her, but after that I had dog after dog. I've had 2 Wheaten Terriers. I've never been without a dog since then, ever.
Right.
And
Dogs
they
are incredible companions.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I wrote this poem.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting into. Louise actually brought she writes, of course she writes, and she wrote a beautiful poem about. Do you want to read it now?
It's up to you.
Yeah.
Can we do that in the? Can we do that in the?
Yes, the post, right?
Yeah, in the post.
Yeah, our animals definitely. They balance us out and they stabilize us.
In an odd way, in my opinion, animals make us more human.
Oh, totally, Tim. That is very
they bring out the humanity in us.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
why a certain POTUS person I know should have several dogs.
But in some people, Louise, and I think they could have a herd of dogs, and it wouldn't
make a difference.
Have them eat him, right?
I want to thank you very much for being our guest today. But I also just want to mention that you have made appearances and on several classic television shows like Dr. Kildare and Route 66, The Rat Patrol, The Virginian, The Fugitive, Night Gallery, The Bold Ones, Banachek, Hawaii Five-0, and the list goes on and on. I just want to say thank you very much for your contribution to American entertainment.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. I think.
No, I think that's wonderful. There aren't that many people who have accomplished what you have accomplished.
I love William Shatner.
I do too.
He's a great guy.
He is.
And another person that's sustained. He just sustained.
I rode horses with him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a horseman, and we did an event out in California, out in Burbank, I guess it was. Yeah, he's a good rider. I don't know that he's riding anymore, but I rode with him.
Did you really? Yeah. Wow.
So cool. Well, again, thank you so very much. How can people find out more about you? Do you have a website or?
Don't tell anyone.
Tim and I'll give you the website for a price.
No, I do like to write. That's kind of where I express a lot of things. But I don't know if somebody wants to. I don't know. How do they? Do you have a website? No.
Okay. Yeah.
Facebook, anything?
Pardon me?
A Facebook profile?
I was thrown off of Facebook 3 times by Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, God.
Louise has been in Facebook jail for 30 days at a time. That's actually as many times as our friend Kobe Cole has been.
You must have had a few Vivian moments there.
Well,
or actually Louise moments and expressing how she feels about a certain someone.
I love that. Well, again, we thank you so very much, Louise Sorel. Thank you for joining us here on If These Walls Could Talk. It has been an absolute joy. So this is where we wave.
Yes. All right.
Okay. Now. Okay. That is the end of the broadcast that will be televised. Now we can just take the gloves off and chat for a little while. We're still rolling. We're still airing.
Right, we're still rolling. So,
yeah. So what's what to say?
We started to talk about Louise's writing. She did bring a. She
yeah.
brought a piece.
I would love to hear this poem.
The dog piece. Can we do the dog piece?
The dog piece.
Okay.
I'd love to do the
that I
mother.
printed out so on my printer.
Oh, it's fine.
Can
I
you
did
read it?
a piece on my mother too, which I
Yes, it's
like
great.
lot.
We can,
Yes, and I wanted to talk about your parents as well.
Okay, do you want me to read the dog poem?
Yeah, the dog poem would be great.
And your mother poem.
Okay, this is dog poem. Sometimes I hover like a lioness over her cub, ears twitching for the little one's next breath, shifting my paws, tilting my head to glance his small body, and ready to pounce at the slightest hint of helplessness. I inhale his essence as if to swallow him up, for fear some other force will come and usurp him, tear him away, and leave me bereft and full of remorse.
Wow. What's
now, your parents? Let's talk.
That's Woof Woof. That poem was about Woof Woof.
Yes. Can we talk about your parents? Now, your mother, Jean Sorel, and your father, Albert J. Cohen. Yeah, they were both in the business, correct?
Well, my father he was a film producer, but my mother had, in the 30s, was pronounced the new Garbo.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
Right.
However, she unfortunately met my father.
Ah.
Who ended that career.
Yeah.
But she was also a concert pianist and a painter.
Wow. My God, what a creative.
Oh.
Yeah, incredible creative. But it, obviously, it was passed
I got
down.
something of it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. No, I mean, just hearing you pick up that paper and read that poem, the passion and the depth. Oh, I could listen to you all day. Oh my God.
You can, because we have another piece here that is about her mother. Which is
well, I'd love to hear about your mother, Jean Sorel.
These are the things that interest me, more than, I don't know, like credits and stuff. Anyway, this is called Photo Interruptus. I have eaten my mother. Yes, I have swallowed her whole, even the parts I don't like. That's probably the reason for my stomach ache. There's raw pieces of her that are lodged somewhere in my abdomen.
Wow.
The hell with that. I'll start as a copy of her and then peel away the onion and find Louise. I can put on airs and tilt my head at a certain la-di-da angle, just like she can. I watch her move about with her Mussolini strut and her beautiful head, chin up, owning her beauty. I can do that. Well, maybe not as well at 16. I study her hands as they play Rachmaninoff and sit at her feet as she presses the pedals of our grand piano. I'm in our living room. It's much too formal for my young eyes. It's filled with overstuffed chairs in an unpleasant shade of green. They're comfortable but foreboding, as they are usually encased in plastic. The couch is square, a sort of nondescript gray, and also suffocating from plastic. There's a very large, ornate mahogany table with massive legs that holds 2 glass lamps and a sculpted bowl that holds nothing. The piano occupies this entranceway, a shiny black Steinway grand. It's immediately inside as you open the magnificent double doors to the living room. The best part of the room for me is the couch-length mirror that reflects the whole room. I can spend hours dancing in front of it, miming singers and studying my own reflection as I move. My mother joins me on occasions in her moments of frivolity, and we traipse through the living room, dining room, kitchen, den, and back again, dancing to the beat of jungle drums. This rapturous event has come from classes we both take at the Lester Horton School of Dance. Great dancers that issued from there, Martha Graham, Jeffrey Holder, Judith Jameson, etc. Catch you up later on that one. What I really don't like about that living room is that there are 2 fireplaces and neither of them work. How is that possible? Doesn't that say a lot? A non-working fireplace in a huge house with all the trimmings of grandeur. I've been kept under lock and key, or so they think. No lipstick allowed, no dating, ice milk instead of ice cream, can you imagine? Somber colored sweaters and shirts. Shorts? My father would rather I were locked up. But I wore them. He balked. I stormed out. I have borrowed attitude from my mother. Having eaten her, I can bring it up whenever necessary. Can you see the defiance in my glance, the tilt of the head, the adult looming in the interior? Yes, that's me.
I love this. Wow.
Oh my God, that
What
is incredible.
a
And I love how you've described your digestion of
Right.
your mother. And
How did you come upon the concept of eating your mother?
I don't know.
that's amazing.
It's amazing, Tim, right?
Because that becomes a part of you then.
Right.
You know, we all, you know, you hear your friends say, "Oh my God, I sound just like my mother."
Right.
We all have that. That's where we.
But digesting the essence of who this woman is, okay, and the picture that you painted of your mother, the two fireplaces that don't work, the overstuffed chairs, you know, how you saw the very things your mother loved, and then the two of you were dancing together. That's in a moment of being frivolous, which what I get from this, your mother was not frivolous.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, very serious, right?
Oh, well, she was from Egypt.
Ah. Yeah,
So-
it's a totally different culture.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she was extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
A couple more guests or a couple more comments.
We have so many.
B. Claudia says, "Wonderful guest, well known over here too." She's in Germany, I believe.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
Nick Lyon says, "Oh my God, the poem about her mom is shatteringly brilliant and poignant."
Yes. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Margot Channing says, "Beautiful." And Margot also that's her drag persona. And she says, "When I do drag, I look like my mother and sister."
Oh, see, I never knew that. I love that. You would love Margot Channing too.
And B. Claudia says, "Great reading." That was fabulous.
Yeah, that was thank you so much for sharing that with
Yeah.
us. So when did you write these pieces? They're very different.
Yes, I can't give you actual timing on these things because I just write them and I put them in. I don't know when. I'd have to look at the, you know, the date that I.
So it's like
know.
journaling.
Like
Just- yeah. Yeah.
I have to do it when it comes to me. And
right.
I've written a book called. I had a Wheaton Terrier named Madison, and I wrote a book called Madison on Fifth.
Oh, I love it.
And I was so lucky because John, you know, John Lahr, Bert Lahr,
Bert Lahr's,
son, Jane Lahr, daughter of those two, of him. Well, she wants to. She came to me to publish this book, and I just before COVID, and I dropped it. I just didn't.
Oh goodness.
And now I really want to. It's just such a charming book. I mean, it's a children's book.
That's wonderful though. Yeah. Madison on
Fifth. I love the title.
So you'll pick it up now.
I got to do it.
You got to do it.
Absolutely.
Those are good things that we want to get in the world. You know, the our furry animal babies. We want to tell the world about them. That's it's a good time to pick it up.
You had mentioned that you did event with William Shatner. That was for animal rights, and what are some of the other things that you've done for animal rights?
Well, I've done. It's just all over the place. In Los Angeles, I was walking dogs that were, you know, waiting to be adopted or whatever. Near where I lived in Westwood, I would walk, you know, because they needed to be walked. Aside from, of course, the usual of giving money. A friend of mine in New York was doing several events for animal shelters that we got involved with. And we would have big lunches and raise money, you know, to help animals. I'm sort of all over the place. I'm a big elephant lover.
Yeah, same.
So I was at the Sheldrick Foundation in Kenya.
I know David.
Sheldrick.
I know David Sheldrick. I worked in Thailand and quote unquote and elephant camp. It's incredible. Well, they're and the elephants, and you know that they're like people. They're social structure. They're thinking.
I blew into the trunk of an elephant.
You blew into the trunk.
Oh wow!
It's so.
You know they release the elephants when they've gotten bigger.
Yeah. David Sheldrick is amazing.
Oh God, that was They say that if you blow into an elephant's trunk, they never forget you. You have to think that. But I got to do that, and we were in Galdessa where these herd of elephants that were being cared for by keepers came over a hill, and their milk was ready. So they were drinking their milk out of these big cans, and they ran down the hill to the mud, to the bath. and just rolled around in it.
Yeah.
And that's where we got to be like this,
Really.
that to them. Plus, in England, somehow or other Sheldrick figured out how to make the milk, because they can't drink pure milk.
Right.
So they found out England was flying over milk that had been soured, that they were using as part of the milk for the elephants, because
But the elephants could drink it.
Yes,
That's really
that's
what a
what-
good use of soured milk.
Yes,
Wow.
that's what they were doing for it.
Right.
Incredible what work. Incredible.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, because that's a
God.
lot, the soured milk and everything.
Yeah.
What is it about animals that I've been this way since I'm a kid, like nuts with it? So, and you are too. What is it about them that makes you want to defend them,
Innocence.
take care of it? The innocence. It's the purity.
Innocence.
Right. And
Right,
they
yeah.
are what they are.
Right.
There's no pretense. There's no.
They're also fascinating,
Yeah.
though. They're completely, she
Oh,
brought up elephants.
amazing.
If you watch them in the wild, they're unbelievably fascinating. The way they all go around like the little elephants to protect them. In many ways, animals are often, more than often, better than some human mothers.
Yeah.
Much better. Oh,
There was a man who was the head of our safari, but there were several rather good-looking men who were the heads taking us around on a safari. The main person died. I could not believe this. He lived near in Kenya. A pack of elephants.
I know the story. I know the
came to
story.
this house
Yeah.
and surrounded it.
This is a true story. I
Oh,
remember
wow.
reading it. It was really
This was the man that
unbelievable.
we were working with.
Yeah, I know.
God.
Oh
So
my
you got to meet
God.
him personally.
He was with us. We were traveling with him.
Right. So you had,
Wow.
and then when I remember reading that story. and
Wow.
I know.
Unbelievable.
It's really quite incredible. And I love that you're sharing that with us today, because I've elevated animals to a quote unquote a human level in many ways. And I think that's really what has to happen. And thank you for bringing that out, and for your sharing, really. It takes people to get that message out there. And I've always felt theatrical people, Angelina Jolie and people like that. I always thought, my God, how wonderful to have your celebrity, right, to spread the good and the news about what's going on in the world, and to raise money, because it does take money to rescue elephants, rhinos, and in my area, gorillas and chimpanzees. It takes a lot. Wow. Emotional core here today, Louise.
That's a wonderful. Speaking of emotion, and back to acting, because
acting, right? Louise is
Acting.
how do you get into a character? Do you have a process that you do, like read the script and get an idea of the play or the movement of the character? And because I'm an actor as well, and I've got my own process, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I just read a piece because I just saw this movie Tar with Kate Blanchett.
Oh, you saw it? I
yeah.
just got it from
Yeah.
Screen Actors Guild. Oh,
Well,
it's an amazing film.
What I found interesting is there was an interview with her, and she talks about, and I'm kind of the same way. She doesn't talk about acting.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about her process. She doesn't, and it's I just find that some actors sit around talking about that. I can't answer that, because
Right.
it's just, you sort of just read something, and then if you think
You feel it.
about it, and of course there's research if it's a particular kind of character that has a
Right.
history of things you need to have information about.
Right.
But if it's something that instinctively you've maybe observed it in someone else and you borrow it from them, or it's a touchy subject, because I'm not good at talking about it. And I remember in the neighborhood playhouse, they gave us things like independent activities. You're coming into a room, and that's legitimate. You're coming
Right.
into a room to resolve something, to get something.
Uh-huh.
So that's your intention.
Right. They gave
Intention.
that to you, right?
So-
what your intention was.
So then my teacher, then we lost Sandy Meisner. I came right after Sandy Meisner left. I had David Pressman, who was a lovely man. He was the head of the department of the school, actually. And he gave me some nice things to do. Many years go by, and now I find that he's directing on One Life to Live.
Oh,
Oh,
small
wow.
world, right?
teacher from school. And we were rehearsing, and he's rushing through this thing, and you stand over there, you sit up, and you go over there, and I went, David, what about my independent?
What's
Out of here. Leave me alone. We don't want to discuss this.
what's my intent? That's hilarious. That's a great story.
That's great.
Please.
What's
You
my
know, just
intention?
say the lines and get the hell out of
Yeah,
here.
really. That's my intention. But Tim, you brought up a good point because I studied theater also. All the methods, right? Stanislavski, Lesak, where I went to college. Do you know the Lesak was? Oh, actually, the way you have such incredible speech. I could listen to you talk, but that's how they were teaching actor speech
Yes.
through the Lesak method. And so many people, you've all heard, like Meryl Streep she's a technical. I think she's an amazing actress.
fabulous.
She's fabulous. But
Fabulous.
she's technically based. And then you have other people like Chloe Savini that are more organic. I guess, Tim, like with what you're saying, like everyone's got their own process, right? For
Right. Well,
approaching.
you figure out what works for you and
For
what
you,
doesn't.
right?
You do
Okay,
it.
as we're talking about this,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
You're not.
But I just have to tell you this
Yes, please.
famous story at the neighborhood playhouse. A man named, he looked like Ichabod Crane. He was Mr. Williams, the speech teacher. Mr. Williams. So Brenda Vaccaro, God bless her. She was late one day or something. She came, I'm sorry, Mr. Williams. My father died, or it was my grandmother or something in her family.
With that voice.
Sorry. My grandmother, and Mr. Williams stopped. He went, died. Story.
Right.
Isn't that fabulous?
Died.
Died. That was the way that's he was the speech teacher.
I love
my
that. That's
God.
great.
And did she repeat? I'm wondering if she repeated it that way. Sorry, he died.
I can't imagine Brenda Vaccaro saying it like that. You know,
God.
right, right.
I mean, the stories are so funny. They just, you never forget these
It's
things.
wonderful.
Right.
Honest, I have forgotten things and I write them down now. And when I write them, then they come back to me. But in a lifetime, in a person's lifetime, especially when you have so many experiences, you've played so many roles, you've worked with so many people.
Yeah.
How do you keep track of it all?
I look at my credits.
Thank God somebody else is listing them, huh?
I don't remember what the hell I did.
Right.
It's all over the
That's
place.
why you said to me it should be dead.
Really. And I was just looking down here. I see Don Rickles.
Don Rickles.
Yes, Don Rickles. Yeah, tell us about that. What an experience.
Yeah, but think about calling me a villainous. I mean, I'm not. You got to be all over the place.
Right.
Don was a doll. He was just. It was the strangest experience because I tested for that, and the Wet Network said, "What? No." They said no. She can't be his wife. Made no sense. Sam Danoff and Sheldon Leonard fought for me.
Right.
So anyway,
it
worked because we were so opposite. It was ridiculous. And I just, you couldn't get through anything because they'd bring Bob Newhart on the show and they couldn't look at each other. Nobody could look at anybody without falling apart.
Goodness, exactly.
Yeah, that had it right. Look at the cast of characters.
Oh,
so, my God,
please.
how did you even get through the script? My God.
And then I was, got to be around they're all in they all compete with it. Milton Berle. We were all at a restaurant on Fairfax Avenue. Me and all these guys, Rickles and the whole gang of comedians.
Wow.
I mean, it's like,
can you imagine
where I was? It's like, I had a couple of other experiences. Like now you're starting me to talk a lot, but
that was good. I love it.
I was in Paris and I was seeing a Frenchman, as one does.
Ooh la la.
Yeah.
It was Christmas, and he takes me to dinner at Jean-Paul Belmondo's apartment for dinner.
Oh,
who was sitting at the head of the table.
That's a
I
looker.
cannot tell you where my brain was. I was the only American there, and Alain Delon was across the table. And I'm thinking, mother, I got to call my mother. I got to call her. Because she wouldn't, I mean, it would just, her first language was French. And I it stuck in my head forever. I couldn't believe where I was.
Wow.
It's quite amazing.
You just can't, you sort of back and think, who was that? It was me. I can't believe
Yeah.
These memories
Me,
are
little
so
Louise,
amazing.
who is,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I know.
Amazing. Oh my God. Belmondo, who then had a girlfriend, and he carried her little Yorkies around, one in each hand.
I love it.
He would see him walking down the street with this young girl that was, and they were her dogs, and he would be carrying the little dogs down the street.
Oh,
Like a god. like a god. You know what? While we're talking, and this just hit me really strong, you have never lost your sense of wonderment, even in your storytelling. No, people get jaded, people get hurt by things in
Yeah.
life, and we all have friends, all of us, that have been knocked down and never got up.
Yeah. Well, I'm in
You-
shock.
You're Louise is in shock. She never lost her sense of wonderment because she's in
She's
shock.
just
You know
in
what?
shock.
It's an incredible thing, and it's a gift that you have that.
Well, you have, what are we going to do?
What are we
have
going to do?
with what's going on in this world?
Right.
I'll tell you, there's something going on right now that I'm going to say this because
You can. That's what we do
my
here.
closest friend is a woman named Francesca James. She was an actress on All My Children. Then she became producer, director. She's an extraordinary human being. She has written one of the most beautiful fairy tales I have ever heard or read
Wow.
about a finch, about a
Oh, I
lady,
love finches.
Lady
Oh,
Goulden and her finch. And it's so exquisite. She's put it on tape with music because she can do everything, and the story with her beautiful voice. And she needed an illustrator. It can be everything. It can be a book, it can be anything and everything. People are really interested. She had to find an illustrator. Where did she find one? In the Ukraine.
wow.
Oh my
And
God.
this girl is sitting in a shelter painting
That's a
the
story.
most beautiful things you have
Right.
ever seen in your life. They should be at the Mint.
Right.
They are pictures of this finch and Lady Goulden, and Francesca sent and
Oh.
it's translated to her in the Ukraine what
Amazing.
she needs specifically on a painting,
And they're
and it comes
perfect.
back to
And it's
her
perfect.
with perfection.
Yeah.
And she is now not knowing whether she will live.
Right.
Oh my.
She's creating this beauty
painting.
from a shelter where she
That's
could
right.
be killed.
That's
at
right. And
any
her
time.
town, of
Right.
course.
Wow.
And we are on pins and needles now, waiting to see if she's going to survive. The book is going to go to Knopf, and now somebody else is going to show it to somebody that would be very helpful.
Yeah.
It's one of the most
crossed.
beautiful fairy tales ever for children and adults, quite frankly. And we're on pins and needles because that's what's going on in the world. People are being
Thank you.
slaughtered,
Yeah.
and in the middle of it, they're painting.
Right.
How
Mm.
Right.
how can we not
Wow.
carry on?
Right.
Mhm.
That is an incredible example of people that
Absolutely.
are carrying on too. In spite
And just the resilience of people,
Right.
and also she is being who she is supposed to be through her art. She's still being true to herself.
right.
Yes.
You make me think, Louise, though it's easy for all of us sitting here. Our lives are not anything like what's going on in the Ukraine. And here you have, this is what blew me away about the Ukraine. Those people are exactly like us. We're not talking about countries with famine or the kinds of things you see in cultures that we don't connect to.
Yeah.
Look at the Ukrainian people and look at their cities. Their cities, they look like where I live.
Yeah.
And all of
they
this,
did.
but imagine any of us, you, me,
And
yeah, right. All of a sudden, like it's all taken away from you.
Mhm.
How does this girl sit in a shelter and she creates these beautiful drawings of finches? My God,
It's just
resilience.
Not just the finch. It's
the whole
complete-
thing.
They're so breathtaking that you look and you think somebody from another time painted this. It's got to be in a museum, and they're exquisite. My grandfather's from Odessa.
So you have that connection
yeah,
there.
But
Wow.
but this just happened. I mean, she found this girl, and she's sending her whatever she can because we're trying to help her, and she won't leave her country.
Right,
She won't leave.
right.
Mm.
They
But
have
she's painting. Oh my God! If this book comes out, it's going to be huge. I mean, it's so breathtakingly beautiful and moving.
Well, and I'm thinking we'll also this is what needs to happen. We all have to stop thinking, oh, it's happening over there. That's what we do, where it's happening there. It's not affecting us. When you bring out somebody like this girl that's doing this work, and if that book is published on a high level, here you have a good example of using art to call attention to politically what's going on in the world. We cannot stick our heads in the sand. And you know what? I have to tell you, in New York, I know a lot of people that do, and people are also fried. People are on overload.
Oh yes,
but we still have to wake up every day. You know, I'll never stop trying to make a difference. I never, nor will you. It's who you are. It burns inside of you, Tim. You know, you know, it's up to all of us to just keep, as we say, paying it forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, again, thank you very much for joining us here today, and just for the real talk and
it's cathartic. Oh my God, I need a cocktail.
The humanity, and you know, I absolutely loved your comment here. A couple of comments.
Wonderful comments today.
Let me see. Jack Falan is on. He says, "Bravo, Louise." Please, B. Claudia from Germany says, "Please do podcast and read book, as your voice is so extraordinary to listen to."
Oh, I love that. And she said she's waiting for the book, and as well, she's going to rewatch. Yeah.
And also Jenny Bookwalder says, "You're not a villain, Louise. Sweet as a nectarine."
That is a perfect comment to close out on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Margot Channing, this has been a thrill.
Yes, yes. And it has been a thrill for us as well. This has just been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you very much. It's lovely speaking to you.
Yes, and you're welcome back anytime,
of
anytime
course,
on our show. This was absolute delight.
Absolute delight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much for tuning in.
Everybody who tuned in today, we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.